I call this video a Grimm Truth because I'm going to be reading you a grim fairy tale, but don't run away screaming. There's a point to it. I didn't know it existed. I looked it up, and it seems, it's outlandish, as all fairy tales are. The reason for these stories has always been to teach the population a lesson through amusing entertainment. What's fascinating to me about this is that human nature hasn't changed. Even with all of the technology, innovations in society, we still have the same problems. These stories were first published in 1884. And look at the insight this story gives us into never satisfied beings. This is called The Fisherman and His Wife. There was once a fisherman and his wife who lived together in a hovel by the seashore, and the fisherman went out every day with his hook and line to catch fish, and he angled and angled. One day he was sitting with his rod and looking into the clear water, and he sat and sat. At last down went the line to the bottom of the water, and when he drew it up he found a great flounder on the hook. And the flounder said to him, "Fisherman, listen to me, let me go. I am not a real fish, but an enchanted prince. What good shall I be to you if you land me? I shall not taste well, so put me back in the water again and let me swim away." "Well," said the fisherman, no need of so many words about the matter. As you can speak, I had much rather let you swim away. Right, he was way too special to just sacrifice as one might any fish. Then he put him back in the clear water. Right, so this is important. Clear water at the beginning, and the flounder sank to the bottom, leaving a long streak of blood behind him. Then the fisherman got up and went home to his wife in their hovel. "Well, husband," said the wife, "have you caught nothing today?" "No," said the man. "Well, that is, I did catch a flounder, but as he said, he talked to me, he was an enchanted prince, I let him go again." "Then did you wish for nothing?" said the wife. "No," said the man. "What should I wish for?" "Oh dear," said the wife, "it is so dreadful always to live in this evil-smelling hovel. You might as well have wished for a little cottage. Go again. Call him. Tell him we want a little cottage. I dare say he will give it to us. Go and be quick." Wow, what a wonderful woman to live with. And when he went back, the sea was green and yellow, and not nearly so clear. So he stood and said, oh man, if you be, or flounder in the sea, such a tiresome wife I've got, for she wants what I do not." Then the flounder came swimming up and said, "Now then, what does she want?" "Oh," said the man, "you know, when I caught you, my wife says I ought to have wished for something. She doesn't want to live any longer in a hovel, and would rather have a cottage." "Go home with you," said the flounder. "She has it already." So the man went home and found, instead of a hovel, a little cottage he had. And his wife was sitting on a bench before the door, and she took him by the hand, and she said to him, "Come in and see if this is not a great improvement." So they went in, and there was a little house place and a beautiful little bedroom, a kitchen, a larder, which is a storage closet for food, with all sorts of furniture and iron and brassware of the very best. And at the back was a little yard, with fowls and ducks and a little garden full of green vegetables and fruit. Man, that's all of our dreams, right there. "Look," said the wife, "is not that nice?" "Yes," said the man, "if this can only last, we shall be very well contented." And here's the crux of the whole damn story. The wife blurts out, "We will see about that." And after a meal, they went to bed. Notice, they've got food now. They've got stores of food. They had a nice meal, where before they were, struggling just to get an old fish. But here we go. It's ramping up. So all went well for a week or fortnight, when the wife said, "Look here, husband, the cottage is really too confined. The yard and the garden are so small. I think the flounder had better get us a larger house. Yes, I should like very much to live in a large stone castle. So go to your fish, and he will send us a castle." "Oh, dear wife," said the man, "the cottage is good enough. What do we want a castle for?" "We want one," said the wife. "Go along with you. The flounder can give us one." "Now, wife," said the man, "the flounder gave us the cottage. I do not like to go to him again. He may be angry." "Go along." "Well, she's twice as angry as the fish could be," said the wife. "He might just as well give it as not. Do as I say." Right now she's getting demanding. Somehow she's feeling empowered. Ooh, there's that word. The man felt very reluctant and unwilling, and he said to himself, because he dare not say to his wife, "It's not the right thing to do." Nevertheless, he went to do not the right thing because he was intimidated. So he went. He came to the seaside. The water, this time, was purple and dark blue. It's getting ugly. The world's getting uglier, and gray and thick, and not as green and yellow as before. And he stood and said, "O man, if man you be, or flounder, flounder in the sea, oh man, such a tiresome wife I've got, for she wants what I do not." "So then, what does she want?" said the flounder, who sounds very much like Obi-Wan now. "Oh," said the man, half frightened, "she wants to live in a large stone castle." "Go home with you. She is already standing before the door," said the flounder. Then the man went home, as he supposed, but when he got there stood in the place of the cottage a great castle of stone, and his wife was standing on the steps about to go in. So she took him by the hand, and she said, "Let us enter." With that he went in with her, and the castle was a great hall with a marble pavement, and there were a great many servants who led them through large doors, and the passages were decked with tapestry, and the rooms with golden chairs and tables and crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, and all the rooms had carpets. Not bad for a couple of peasants. And the tables were covered with eatables, and the best wine for anyone who wanted them. And at the back of the house was a great stable yard for horses and cattle, and carriages of the finest. Besides, there was a splendid large garden with the most beautiful flowers and fine fruit trees, and a pleasance full half a mile long, with deer and oxen and sheep, and everything that heart could wish for. Well, everything that his heart could wish for, but not hers. "There," said the wife, "is not this beautiful, like she did it?" She's proud of it. "Oh, yes," said the man. If it will only last, we can live in this fine castle and be very well contented." I guess they didn't have property taxes back then. "We will see about that. In the meantime, we will sleep upon it." And with that they went to bed. Can you see where this is heading? Should I bother even reading the rest? Well, perhaps you're doing something about your kitchen, and you can listen to it in the background. Here we go. The next morning, the wife was awake first. Apparently, she can't sleep. It's just not good enough. Just at the break of day, she looked out and saw from her bed the beautiful country lying all around, and the man took no notice of it. So she poked him in the side with her elbow and said, "Husband, get up and just look out of that window. Look, just think if we could be king over all this country. You just go to your fish and tell him that we should like to be king." Now, wife," said the man, what should we be kings for? I don't want to be a king." "Well," said the wife, "if you don't want to be king, I will be king." Can you not just see her finger wagging at him? "Now, wife," said the man, What do you want to be king for? I could not ask him such a thing." "Why not?" said the wife. "You must go directly, all the same. I must be king." Notice she didn't say queen. She's taking over a manly role. She's getting very aggressive and masculine, taking on the worst of men's traits. So the man went, very much put out that his wife should want to be king. It is not the right thing to do. Not at all the right thing, thought the man. He did not at all want to go, and yet he went all the same, being compliant his whole life. Why change that habit now? And when he came to the sea, the water was quite dark grey, and rushed far inland, and had an ill smell. The whole world is suffering, like it is now, like our world is suffering now, when we lose our roles, and become everyone a little king or tyrant. And again he stood and said, O man, if man you be, or flounder in the sea, such a tiresome wife I've got, for she wants what I do not. The fish is very patient and long-suffering. Now then, what does she want? Said the fish. Oh dear, said the man, she wants to be king. Go home with you, she is so already, said the fish. So the man went back, and as he came to the palace, he saw it was very much larger, and had great towers and splendid gateways. The herald stood before the door, and a number of soldiers with kettle drums and trumpets. And when he came inside, everything was of marble and gold, and there were many curtains with great golden tassels. Then he went through the doors of the saloon to where the great throne room was. Oh, there's a dead giveaway. She's on a throne, and there was his wife sitting upon a throne of gold and diamonds, and she had a great golden crown on, and the scepter in her hand was of pure gold and jewels, and on each side stood 6 pages, servants, in a row, each one a head shorter than the other. So the man went up to her and said, Well, wife, so now you are a king. Yes, said the wife, now I am king. So he stood and looked at her, and when he had gazed at her for some time, just taking the whole thing in, he said, Well, wife, this is fine for you to be king. Now there is nothing more to wish for. Oh, husband, said the wife, seeming quite restless, I am tired of this already. Go to your fish, and tell him that now I am king, but I must be emperor. Now, wife, said the man, what do you want to be emperor for? Husband, she snapped at him, go tell that fish I want to be emperor. Oh dear, said the man, he could not do it. I cannot ask him such a thing. There is but one emperor at a time. The fish can't possibly make anyone emperor. Indeed he can't. Now look here, said the wife, I am king, and you are only my husband, so you will go at once. Go along. For if he was able to make me a king, he is able to make me emperor, and I will and must be emperor, so go along. Don't you love that? You are only my husband. A bit puffed up, wouldn't you say? So he was obliged to go, and as he went, he felt very uncomfortable about it. And he thought to himself, it is not at all the right thing to do. To want to be emperor is really going too far. The flounder will soon be beginning to get tired of this, like we are. See, but he had it right there. He didn't say asking the fish was the wrong thing to do. He said wanting to be emperor is the wrong thing. She has the wrong wants. Like a fire in a house. It's never said, oh, I've burned enough of this house, I can stop now. No, it'll just consume everything. It's out of control. But with that, he came to the sea, and the water was quite black and thick, and the foam flew, and the wind blew, and the man was terrified, rightly, but he stood and said, oh man, if you be, or flounder in the sea, such a tiresome wife I've got, for she wants what I do not. What is it now? Said the fish. Oh dear, said the man, my wife, she wants to be emperor. Go home with you, said the fish. She is emperor already. Well, she acts like one. So the man went home and found the castle adorned with polished marble and alabaster figures and golden gates. The troops were being marshaled before the door, right? He's got an army now. And they were blowing trumpets and beating drums and cymbals, and when he entered, he saw barons and earls and dukes waiting about like servants. Even the royalty are servants to her now. And the doors were of bright gold. Maybe she's got a golden toilet like Mr. T. And when he saw his wife sitting upon a throne made of one entire piece of gold, and this throne was about 2 miles high, This is so outlandish. And she had a great golden crown on, which was about 3 yards high. A big head, you might say, set with brilliants and carbuncles. And in one hand she held the scepter, and in the other the globe. And on both sides of her stood pages in rows, all arranged according to their size, from the most enormous giant of 2 miles high to the tiniest dwarf the size of my little finger. Yes, this is a fairy tale. And before her stood earls and dukes in crowds, crowds of them. So the man went up to her, what he didn't need an appointment, and said, "Well, wife, so now you are emperor." "Yes," she said, "now I am emperor." Then he went and sat down and just had a good look at her. And then he said, "Well, now, wife, there is nothing left to be. Now you are emperor." "What are you talking about, husband?" she said. "I am emperor, and next I will be pope, so go tell the fish so." "Oh dear," said the man, "what is it that you don't want? You can never become pope. There is but one pope in Christendom, and the fish can't possibly do it." "Husband," she said, "no more words about it. I must and will be pope, so go along to the fish." "Now, wife," said the man, "how can I ask him such a thing? It is too bad. It is asking a little too much, don't you think, honey? And besides, he couldn't even do it." "What rubbish," said the wife. "If he could make me emperor, he can make me pope. Go along and ask him. I am emperor." "Right, I'm commanding you." "And you are only my husband, so go you must." So he went, like he always did, feeling very frightened, and he shivered and shook, and his knees trembled, and there arose a great wind, and the clouds flew by, and it grew very dark, and the sea rose mountains high, and the ships were tossed about, and the sky was partly blue in the middle, but at the sides very dark red, as in a great tempest. The whole earth is troubled at this little devil in a dress. And he felt very desponding, and stood trembling, and said, oh man, if man you be, or flounder, he's really the flounder, isn't he, in the sea, such a tiresome wife I've got. Couldn't he just divorce her? No, he always has to do it as she says, for she wants what I do not." "Well, what now?" said the fish. "Oh dear," said the man, she wants to be pope." "Go home with you, she is pope already," said the fish. So he went home and found himself before a great church. Ah, so she's taking over state and church. What's left? There are palaces all around. He had to make his way through a crowd of people, and when he got inside, he found the place lighted up with thousands and thousands of lights. And his wife was clothed in a golden garment, and sat upon a very high throne, and had 3 golden crowns on, all in the greatest priestly pomp. And on both sides of her there stood 2 rows of lights of all sizes, from the size of the longest tower to the smallest rushlight. They lived in a shack before, with no electricity, no running water. Now they've got everything that exists, and all the emperors and kings were kneeling before her and kissing her foot. "Well, wife," said the man, and sat and stared at her again. "So, you are pope?" "Yes," she said, "now I am pope." And he went on gazing at this spectacle, at her, till he felt dazzled, as if he were sitting in the sun. And after a little time he said, "Well, now, wife, what is there left to be, now you are pope?" And she sat up, very stiff and straight, and said nothing. Oh, what a relief. And he said again, "Well, wife, I hope you are contented at last, being pope, because you can be nothing more. You know it's coming. Here it is. Here it comes." "We will see about that," said the wife. And with that they both went to bed. Notice she doesn't work. Nobody works. They just collect wealth and privilege. Oh my. Because she was as far as ever from being contented, and she could not get to sleep for thinking of what she should be next. And this is a principle here, that you cannot pacify a tyrant. You can't just keep giving in to demands. That's what starts wars. eventually you have to somehow stop the tyrannical person, because they won't stop themselves. And the story continues. The husband, however, slept as fast as a top after his busy day. He's tired of this. But the wife tossed and turned from side to side the whole night through, thinking all the while, what could she be next? What more can she demand of him and this prince fish? But nothing would occur to her, and when she saw the red dawn, she slipped off the bed and sat before the window to see the sunrise. And as it came up, she said, "Ah, I have it. What if I should make the sun and moon to rise?" "Husband," she cried, and stuck her elbow in his ribs, "wake up! Go tell your fish, and tell him I want power over the sun and moon." But the man was so fast asleep that when he started up, he fell out of the bed. Then he shook himself together and opened his eyes and said, Oh, wife, what did you say? Am I dreaming?" "Husband," she said, "if I cannot get the power of making the sun and moon rise when I want them, I shall never have another quiet hour. Go to the fish and tell him so." "Oh, wife," said the man, and fell on his knees to her. He's begging her. "The fish can really not do that for you. I grant you, he could make you emperor and pope. Do be contented with that. I beg of you." He's begging her now. Doesn't work, does it? And she became wild with impatience and screamed out, "I can wait no longer. Go at once." I can't scream that out. My neighbors will complain. So here we go. Off he went as well as he could for fright. He's afraid of her. He's afraid of his wife. Maybe he always has been. And a dreadful storm arose so that he could hardly keep his feet. And the houses and trees were being blown down, and the mountains trembled, and rocks fell in the sea. The sky was quite black, and it thundered, and lightened, and the waves, crowned with foam, ran mountains high. So he cried out without being able to hear his own words. The earth itself is rebelling, is ending. The earth is ending because of this demanding woman. And well it should. Oh man, if man you be, or flounder in the sea, such a tiresome wife I've got. For she wants what I do not, what I don't have, and what I don't want. But I've got to give it to her, don't I?" "Well, what now?" said the flounder. Oh dear, said the man. "She wants to order about the sun and moon. She wants to be God." "Go home with you," said the flounder. "You will find her in the old hovel." And there they are, sitting to this very day. That was too much. She finally went too far, because they all want to play God, don't they? And they'll all end badly. But I found this a fascinating story, very instructive. And because of reading this, I've bought the book. Now I've got a 750-page book of Grimm stories. Yeah, it might be a cold winter, but at least I've got something now to keep me company. And certainly not a wife like this. Praise be, and thanks for listening, and sticking with it this whole time. Until next time, all for now.